Hi everyone, my name is Orlena Fong Shek. I'm a double brain surgery stroke survivor. Yes, I survived a stroke while driving and crashed the car, which I also survived, and so did my 21-month-old daughter. For the 10-year anniversary of my stroke last year, I came out with a book. Yep, I had to do something. I hope it's okay if I peek at my notes, but I have a good excuse. I did have a stroke after all. What if you could no longer use the left side of your body, walk on your own, or have complete vision in both eyes? That was me after December 29th, 2011, when I had a hemorrhagic stroke from Moya Moya while driving my daughter to the mall. Now I wear a brace on my foot and my arm and use a cane to walk. The day I don't have to hear the sound of Velcro will be groundbreaking. Did you know more than 795,000 people have a stroke in the US every year? Every 4 minutes, someone dies of a stroke. It's the #1 cause of adult disability. 1 in 4 people over 25 will have a stroke in their lifetime. While I was writing my book, my 5-year-old nephew collapsed at school after having 2 strokes. Someone in the US has a stroke every 40 seconds. Every 4 minutes, someone dies of a stroke. Every year, 15 million people worldwide suffer a stroke. But as you know, we are not all created equal. African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans have higher stroke risks than their non-Hispanic white counterparts. Socioeconomic inequality in stroke care occurs even in countries with universal health care. And then I have a slide actually on Asian stats. I recognize I'm privileged even though I have Moya Moya, because Asian Americans tend to fare better than their non-Asian counterparts. But what are the chances? I think we can agree at this point, stroke is a global epidemic, but 80% of the time it's preventable. I'm doing my part to raise awareness. I wish I could tell you how to eradicate stroke, but what I can say is how to overcome obstacles like stroke. You never know what will happen in your life, but hopefully you can take some tragedy or a debilitating illness and turn it around to accomplish anything you want in life. And it's all by using the right mindset. What I've developed in the last 12 years is a new mindset. It's called mind over matter. And it totally comes in handy after COVID. I think we can all agree, right? I was a philosophy major in college. I'm not really good with numbers, but I was pre-law, so that's why I wanted to go to law. I didn't want to deal with numbers. But let's start off with some numbers. 14, 6, 3.5, 3, 2, 1,800, 136, 2, 1. 14 ambulance rides within 5 months, 6-week hospitalization at Stanford, 3.5 weeks in a medically induced coma, 3 different acute rehab hospital stays ranging from Marin to Santa Clara County, 2 10-hour plus brain surgeries a week apart, 1,800 paper origami cranes folded by countless coworkers, neighbors, and friends, 136 nights hospitalized, away from home, 2 children, firstborn pre-stroke, secondborn post-stroke, 1 trip to Las Vegas by myself for a bachelorette party. As you can see, these aren't lottery numbers, but maybe I should play the lottery and maybe I'll get lucky, don't you think? Last year marked the 10-year anniversary of my stroke. I was once an in-house lawyer, loved my job, clients, and coworkers. But that world turned upside down on Thursday, December 29th, 2011, while I was working from home. Show of hands here, how many of you have heard of Moya Moya disease before? Besides knowing me. I had never heard of it until I had a stroke from it 11 years ago. It's extremely rare, affecting only 1 in 100,000. I always tell my husband that I'm 1 in a million. I'm a lawyer by training, and the fact that I could pass that 3-day California bar exam when I never had enough blood flow to the brain is incredible. I mean, no wonder it was so hard. There's a picture of me and my daughter. It was taken about a week before my accident. On December 29th, 2011 is when I experienced that stroke. I was working on a Thursday morning because Thursdays I got to work from home. I was trying to take her to the mall to get an outfit for New Year's Eve, but as I got on the freeway, I couldn't control the car. I kept on veering left to right, and I was like, what's happening to me? I better get off the freeway. But as I was trying to get off the freeway, I ended up having the stroke and collapsed into the center divider and crashed the car. Totaled my SUV. A good Samaritan came and called my nanny to pick up my daughter. My sister and brother were home for the holidays, so they came and picked me up. But they dropped me off at home. I don't know why they didn't take me to the ER now that I think of it. They took me home, dropped me off, and after they dropped me off, my head was still killing me. I thought, I need to get to a hospital. So I actually dialed 911 at that point, collapsed on my living room floor. The ambulance came and took me to the ER at Mills, down the street, and there happened to be a neurosurgeon on duty that night who had practiced under the leading Moya Moya neurosurgeon in the world. So he saved my life by diagnosing Moya Moya and sent me to Stanford, where I had my 2 brain surgeries about 6 months later. But before that, I would spend almost half a year in and out of hospitals. I had to learn how to walk and talk again. The first question I get from people when they see me is, what happened to you? Did you have a car accident? Or did you break your leg? I wish it was that simple. People always wonder, why not just give up? If everything's changed post-stroke, you lost your job, you can't move on one side, you can't see, why do you even bother going on? Well, I got a second chance, and I'll take it, and anyone can do it. All you need is a little positivity and the creativity to develop a new mindset called mind over matter. Even with a severe brain injury and physical disabilities, you can still rise above those challenges and will your mind to have a positive attitude, and you meet your challenges head on. I didn't survive my stroke and car accident for nothing. And if I can do this, then you can too. Post-stroke, due to foot drop, I will need a brace for the rest of my life. But that's okay, I have Nike free shoes in every color. And Nordstrom will let you buy 2 different sizes for the price of 1. I wonder what they do with the extra shoe. Please do your part and shop at Nordstrom for me so they'll stick around through the pandemic. Legend has it that folding 1,000 cranes results in a wish. It is said that each folded crane represents a year of the crane's life, and once 1,000 are folded, the sacred crane grants their wish. The cranes folded by my coworkers and friends when I was in the hospital. By the way, lawyers are very competitive. So I used to work at NetApp, and before that was Sun. So I had lawyers from both companies come. They squeezed into one NetApp conference room, and we're trying to compete to see who could fold the most crane. And one attorney was actually in Japan at the time, so he brought a crane from Japan, which is even more legitimate. A watershed moment occurred in my rehab 7 years ago when I learned how to stretch my own foot out, put on my brace and shoes, and guess who went to Las Vegas by herself for a bachelorette party? My husband even bought me a suitcase for my birthday that year. And then there was this lovely gym in Burlingame called the Truesdale Wellness Center, but now it's changed names. At this gym, you might be familiar with it since we're here right now, was on the brink of closure 7 years ago. So my therapist told me to stop by a town hall that the city of Burlingame was holding, and I stood up in front of 200 people and said, you can't close this gym down. I can't work out at 24-Hour Fitness or at the Y. I need the adaptive equipment only available at this gym. I ended up getting a standing ovation, and someone told me to run for mayor of Burlingame. The main point is they kept the gym open, and last I checked with my neurosurgeon, the Moya Moya vessels are disintegrating. Over time, they'll disappear. The likelihood of another stroke is very, very small. So here are some of my poems. During COVID, I joined a online social networking group for Moya Moya patients, and a lot of them were sharing beautiful poetry. And I thought, I like poetry. Why don't I band with them and see what happens? So then on May 13th, Archway of Simon Schuster published my poems and came out with this book. And I'm gonna read one of my poems right here. It's called When I Was 4. When I was 4, my sister was born, bringing my glorious reign as an only child to an abrupt end. When I was 14, I spent Valentine's Day in arthroscopic surgery to remove some cartilage in my knee. When I was 24, I was appointed executive director of the UC San Diego Volunteer Connection. When I was 34, I suffered a massive hemorrhagic stroke due to moya moya while driving my daughter on the freeway. I can only imagine what's in store for me at age 44. Well, that's when I wrote this book. So then something did happen at 44, which was good. So that's that poem. Oh my gosh, I have so many of them. Oh my god, there's like a million. Okay. So, to commemorate the 10th anniversary of my stroke last year, I chose to publish in 2021 because I turned 44 and there are 44 poems in this book. I'm Chinese American and the number 4 is actually really bad luck because it sounds like death. But the number 8 is good luck, and if you add 4 plus 4, it equals 8, which is the luckiest number because it sounds like fortune. So my whole approach is to take the bad and turn it into something wonderful and remarkable. Last but not least, I have one final thought for you, which is at once a tragedy and a miracle. In December of 2017, almost exactly 9 months after my dear mom passed away, we welcomed a new baby into our life, Russell, who has brought more joy than we ever imagined possible. The theme for this talk might have been why not, but the answer to that question should always be why yes. Let me leave you with this quote. With moya moya, we may all be a little broken, but last I checked, broken crayons still color the same. I'm learning to color new things in my life now. Hopefully, I've been able to add some color to your understanding of stroke survival and that it's possible not just to survive, but to also thrive. And hopefully that maybe there is some hope for the 150,000 victims who have a stroke every year, like me and my nephew. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you.